Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. I don't know a lot about Cassie Lang other than the fact that I'm not great at fighting her. Not yet, at least. I also know that I did get her somewhat recently out of a featured 6-star crystal. And so, I'm always trying to figure out if a champion's good or not. Statistically speaking, if there are over 200 champions, and there are now going to be 250 champions, according to Kabam, as of this month. A lot of champions naturally, and I think this would be true of any game, just fall in what the kids would call the mid category. They're not amazing, they're not terrible. They're just kind of mid. So, knowing that Cassie's been out for a while, as she is indeed in that featured current 6-star crystal, it's interesting that in videos that I'm trying to work and catch up on, we've got new information regarding the Cassie Lang balancing. Because, and this is why I can understand people are upset, when you have a champion that's been out for a while, you just trust that they're working as intended, because if they aren't, Kabam probably would address it by now. We've seen examples where this is not the case time and time again, and this is another one of those examples. Update on Cassie Lang. As of June 9th, it is now June 11th. Hey everyone, we have an update that we'd like to share regarding Cassie Lang's balance review. We recently discovered a bug in her kit which unfortunately affects her performance. We understand the timing of this discovery is frustrating, and frustrating is not really a good word for this, because if you spent money on something, you want to get what you paid for. So frustrating, again, is a little understatement. We'll list the bug below, followed by how we'd like to address it. The bug. Cassie's taunt is currently applying a 90% attack reduction instead of the listed 40%. Now, to say that 90% and 40% are very different percents and a very different deal, a big deal, is an understatement. Another understatement. If it was 60% and 40%, that would still be significant. But 90 to 40 is less than half of what is currently happening. When we were reviewing her performance data, we were happy with the ceiling of her damage mitigation abilities as she was performing in range with other tanky science characters who interact favorably with the inequity mastery. We interpreted her ceiling shown as players leaning into that strategy, which is why her balance review resulted in us not needing to make changes at that time. This is historic, because when Kabam says we're not making changes with the champion, that's just, it's final, right? But in this case, it's not. And so that's what makes this so unique. Okay, so now that we know this bug exists and has been live since her release, that means that players have been able to reach the ceiling of her attack reduction with 0 points in inequity, and in more situations than intended, i.e. one taunt to achieve max attack reduction plays out more frequently than one taunt and 6 power sting debuffs plus 3 points in inequity, which was what was intended. I always read this and wonder, who discovered this and how they discovered this, and were they like, oh no, because that's kind of what this reads. Since addressing this bug directly affects her performance, we are adding Cassie Lang into the beta process alongside future Ant-Man to make sure she's hitting her original design goals. This means that until their release in 41.1, which is in September, it's June. That's 3 months away. Cassie's taunt will stay at the potency listed in the bug above. We saw players using her attack reduction abilities creatively to answer tricky matchups in questing and alliance war, which is something we want to preserve when addressing this bug. So that's good, and will be something that we keep a close eye on as she goes through the beta. Here's the change that we are currently interested in. Cassie's taunt now applies a 50% attack reduction. Again, 50% and 90% is huge. Just a huge difference. I get why people are frustrated here. I get it. I'm going to title this video. At 50% potency, the damage reduction should still feel strong and impactful on its own, while still allowing her power sting debuffs and the inequity mastery to boost it further. Of course, I feel like a lot of people don't have that mastery maxed. And if you max it, you take points, precious points, away from other masteries. That's also part of the problem. Our intention with this fix is for Cassie to remain as effective as she currently is in the matchups that she excels in. Which, to be fair, she may do that. That's why I started this post with a discussion that I haven't really used her yet, but I do have her. As a reminder of what's next, here's the next few months look like. July, August, Ant-Man lands on the CCP beta with his glancing bug fix and tuning. Cassie Lang lands with her new taunt potency. Ant-Man Cassie Lang full release with changes in September. As a reminder for the other champion release, Mantis will update in July, following by Absorbing Man and Baron Zemo in August. Whew. You know, I have to say this. I would never have noticed this. But for those of you, and maybe it's just a few people out there, who use her and feel like you got kind of gypped, I get it. Hopefully that's not the case. And who knows? Every once in a while, Kabam goes back in and makes the champion even better, just differently. But I use this analogy in other videos, and I'll use it here. If you buy a car, and you pay for that car, and you're promised in the warranty of the car and in the specifics that the specs are exactly what it says. If that is changed and lessened, let's say a car can go 200 and then it suddenly can only go 140. Weird example because you wouldn't want to ever drive that fast, but regardless, the example is used because basically that's not what you paid for. And what makes mobile games so frustrating is that in real life, quote unquote, you could sue. You could ask for your money back. You could say, this isn't what I paid for. But in this game, you're kind of stuck. Kabam controls the refund process, and they can control the sandbox. And we've seen so many instances in the past year of mobile games, some run by Kabam, that have closed. And you can be really frustrated about something like this in the game. But what's even more frustrating is when the game just ceases to exist. So I try to keep that in mind. Like, you always want a big picture when you're a YouTuber, and you don't just want to sound like the sky is falling. But at the same time, I get why people are frustrated, and I think this was worth discussing. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.